The Man from Toronto is a buddy action comedy starring Woody Harrelson and Kevin Hart. And if you're expecting Kevin Hart to defy his typical archetype as a loudmouth, wisecracking sidekick, he doesn't. This is his signature, his sweet spot. He can do this in his sleep. Now, Woody Harrelson plays a contract killer whose reputation precedes him. He's a tough as nails interrogator who can get a confession out of a suspect without pulling his trigger, or at least that's how they set up the story in the first act. But there's no indication during this setup that Woody Harrelson's character is at all intimidating, an assassin, or that he's even from Toronto, because all you hear is Woody Harrelson's Texas twang. Nonetheless, the suspect caves to Woody Harrelson's character in that first scene, but it's a weak confession, and yet this scene is used as a pivotal set piece to set the tone and style for the rest of the movie, that Woody Harrelson is the most threatening killer in the world, who only goes by the code name The Man from Toronto. Then there's Kevin Hart. Kevin plays a feckless fitness equipment inventor whose innovations are useless. So he plans this remote getaway for his wife's birthday, but when he prints the directions, because he is low on toner, it smears the numbers. So he ends up at the wrong address. And that's the catalyst for this whole story. Yes, he has a cell phone in this film, and yes, he could have pulled up the right address from that cell phone, but they use this toner hook for a bit later in the film, in the finale, and it's sort of funny. Anyway, Kevin's character, who his name is Teddy in this film, he ends up at this wrong address where he's mistaken as the Man from Toronto, because remember, even though people have seen Woody Harrelson's character, the real man from Toronto, none of those people would ever snitch to the feds or really tell each other. He's like a nondescript, or supposed to be a nondescript character. So Kevin enters this address. He's mistaken as the Man from Toronto. And when he sees these guns and explosives and this man strung up to the ceiling like a gutted cow, he wings it. All of a sudden, he's quick on his feet. There's no indication of this in the setup. So he pretends to be the Man from Toronto, Philly accent and all, to draw out the confession from the suspect to save both of their lives. It's corny, sure, but now at this point you're 15 minutes in, so you might as well keep watching. In the nick of time, the FBI busts in. Now the feds need Kevin, since the Man from Toronto didn't show up in the first place and is seemingly and otherwise unidentifiable. They use Kevin as bait. Kevin will pretend to be this contract killer, this feckless equipment inventor, will pretend to be this contract killer to help the FBI nail the mastermind played by Ellen Barkin. Jasmine Matthews plays Kevin's wife, and Kaylee Cuoco plays and she's barely in this film. She plays her friend. That's it. That is the basic story. It is an action film. It's an action comedy, really. And I mean, you get what you get. The audience for these films already know what they're getting, and you already know what you're getting with the Kevin Hart film too. Is it somewhat entertaining? Sure. The action sequences aren't original. You've seen the same recycled scenes hundreds of times. I found myself giggling here and there, so there are some comedic moments. You know where the punchlines are going to land, though. If you're really familiar with Kevin's and Woody's comedic rhythm, then you already know where the punchlines are. The plot's dull, the story beats are underwhelming, and the characters are surface, boilerplate, and criminally underdeveloped, and you will have to power through the second and third acts. But again, it's an action comedy. You already know what to expect. If you liked Woody Harrelson in Now You See Me, you get some of that snappy character flair here. And if you like Kevin in Ride Along and Central Intelligence, you'll probably get a kick out of him in this role. Have you seen this film yet? It's #1 on Netflix with a lot of watch time hours. So I understand that people are watching this, but it also has really low ratings from movie watchers and critics. On a grading scale, The Man from Toronto gets a C from me. It is currently streaming on Netflix. Thank you so much if you stuck around this long. Certainly appreciate you. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And until next time, peace.